This story is a custom-tailored completed work. Listen to the finale all at once. When Ziyan's white moonlight came knocking, I took my son to America. Everyone said they didn't take me seriously. Everyone said I was hopeless. Even mud that can't stick to the wall is like this, still acting like a turtle hiding in its shell, until one day, I arrogantly trampled them underfoot. The main text begins below. Ziyan's white moonlight returned. In our senior year of high school, he participated in the new concept writing competition and met Liu Ryan. It is said she had delicate features, was smart and lively, and came from a very affluent family. The two, experiencing first love, quickly fell for each other. They even agreed to apply to the same university. But things didn't go as planned. Ziyan was accepted into Stanford University. But as for Liu Ryan, I don't know. At first, I thought it was because of a long-distance relationship that they broke up. Till our mutual friend told me, Luo, you don't know. Back then, that woman threatened to commit suicide to force Ziyan to give up Stanford, to stay in the country and be with her forever. She threatened Ziyan with suicide to make him give up Stanford. I was stunned by this plot. It seems like I've seen it in some online novel. Ziyan and I are childhood sweethearts. Our families have been business partners for 3 generations. Back then, my dad's mistress came to our door, publicly called my mom to provoke her. Angry, my mom flew back to the US overnight. I also applied to Stanford University because of this, and became college classmates with Ziyan. We hadn't seen each other for many years. He was even more handsome than when we were young. But perhaps because we were too familiar, I never had that heart-throbbing feeling with him. Instead, there was more of an unspoken understanding. Just like the relationship between our parents. I thought my mom would divorce my dad. But she didn't. She told me, love and marriage are different. They have been married for many years. They trust and understand each other. Not only do multiple companies hold shares in each other, they have stable social circles. It's impossible to sever easily. Moreover, that woman came to our door herself, which already showed her stupidity and incompetence. If your dad had any intention of being with her, she wouldn't need to do such a thing. But dad still cheated. I lowered my head and slowly spoke. Once unfaithful, 100 times untrustworthy. Mom, this is what you told me. My mom smiled slightly, but she said, on the day your dad supposedly went to the hot springs with her, your dad was clearly with me in Hong Kong visiting your grandparents. Luo, whether or not you marry a business partner in the future, remember that marriage is about reason. Don't act impulsively in anything. Then why did you angrily come to America? My mom smiled again. Otherwise, how could you give up Barcelona and come to Stanford? I was tricked because I had always yearned for the romance of Barcelona. I wanted to live in a manor surrounded by vast fields of lavender. But as the sole heir to the family business, I was not yet allowed to lie back and enjoy life without putting in effort. So when Liu Ryan asked to meet me, I agreed. She enthusiastically showed me memories of her and Ziyan, displaying their couple tattoos. She was as proud as a peacock. But I just wanted to laugh. Mistresses acting as boldly as you are truly rare. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? My best friend, Faro, was a childhood friend of Ziyan and me. She had a fiery temper since childhood and was sharp-tongued. Shameful, Liu Ryan raised an eyebrow. We are true love. What's shameful about that? I came here to make you see reality. Stop deceiving yourself. Don't be an ostrich pretending I don't exist. I'm telling you. Ziyan said that I'm the one he loves most, cares about most, and can't let go of. You, staying at home full-time, have no common language with him. Yet you keep holding on to the title of Mrs. Z. What's the point? Divorce him. I'll have Ziyan give you a generous alimony. You're still young. Furo was so angered by her that her face turned red. She slapped her across the face. Liu Ryan was stunned for a moment. Then she covered her face and screamed, "You actually dared to hit me!" In the quiet private room. Because of her scream, the well-trained staff couldn't help lifting the curtains, sticking their heads in, asking if we needed help. I was also stunned, not because Furo made him move, but because she was shouting and screaming like a shrew. She even tried to reach out and pull Furu's hair. Moreover, she actually said that I was clinging on to the title of Mrs. Z. I am a housewife. You have Ziyan come and ask me for a divorce. I'll leave immediately. Feeling a strange sensation in my heart, I spoke up to stop her racket. Liu Ryan was somewhat surprised. Even like this, you still cling on and won't let go. I've really underestimated you. Then she smiled again. Since that's the case, I'll have Ziyan come to find you. Just don't cry and refuse to divorce then. I nodded. Then pulled Furo up and left. Hey, you haven't paid the bill. Seeing that I was about to leave, Liu Ryan hurriedly stood up and called out to me. I glanced at the afternoon tea on the table, priced at 3,800 yuan, which hadn't been touched. I gave a slight smile. The owner is my friend. The waiter will put it on my tab. If you like, you can pack it up and take it with you. In the days that followed, Ziyan didn't mention divorce. Everything was as usual. It's just that sometimes he came home from work a bit later. I asked him, and he only said that an old classmate wanted to start a business and was looking for investment for a new project. He was still considering whether to invest. I asked him to send me the other party's information. Upon opening it, sure enough, Liu Ryan was among the list of founders. Looking at the company's messy accounts and its meager revenue, I shook my head. Companies are all cutting costs and increasing efficiency, but she's trying to use such a failing company to scam money. Honey, what do you think? I hadn't yet told him that Liu Ryan had approached me. Ziyan and I have been married for many years, and we have a son. Now we are preparing to try for a daughter, to have both a son and a daughter, to make up the character good. But unexpectedly, someone like Cheng Yaojin barged in. But just as my mother said, Ziyan and I are in a business marriage. Family ties are involved. Our childhood friendship and intertwined relationships are complex. Pull one thread and the whole fabric moves. So I don't believe he would cheat. I don't believe he would divorce either. I think we still need to be cautious. You're quite familiar with this area. I'll leave it to you to handle. I nodded, feeling a bit relieved, and handed over a bowl of soup. This is a special remedy I made for you. Your stomach isn't good with late-night snacks. This will be very effective. The next day, I arrived at the company with the finalized plan. Recently, because I was preparing for pregnancy, I rarely came to the company. So many veteran employees were surprised to see me. Showing a look of anticipation, the new employees basically didn't recognize me. I had just reached Ziyan's office door when I heard Liu Ryan's familiar voice. Ziyan, please help me. This is my dream. Inside, Ziyan didn't speak. After gently knocking a few times, I pushed the door open and went in. Liu Ryan was sitting on the sofa with him. Seeing me come in, not only did she not think of getting up, she even leaned closer to him. I glanced at her neckline, which was so low you could almost see her undergarments. A long dress of a particular color. Then, without showing any emotion, I placed the documents in my hand on the desk. I hope I'm not disturbing you. Not at all, honey. This is Liu Ryan, whom I've mentioned to you. Ziyan jumped up from the sofa almost as if electrocuted, and stood by my side at lightning speed to introduce Liu Ryan. This is my wife, Lin Jie. I keenly caught a fleeting resentment in Liu Ryan's eyes. She looked at Ziyan with an innocent expression. Sister Lin Luo, you're so beautiful. I can't believe I've never heard him mention you before. What a joke. Who are you that he needs to mention me to you? Besides, whether he mentions me or not, didn't you still come looking for him? Didn't you come knocking on his door? Ziyan's expression turned a bit awkward. Amused, I spoke up. It's not reasonable to discuss family matters with outsiders every day. Saying this, I handed the thermos I brought to Ziyan. I heard you have a dinner party tonight. I specially made this for you. I have afternoon tea plans with Mrs. Zhou and the others this afternoon, so I'll be going first. After many years of tacit understanding, Ziyan knew what it was without opening it. He smiled and nodded at me. Thank you for your hard work. But Liu Ryan was relentless. Tonight's dinner party. I'm going with Ziyan. Sister Lin Luo, what's this good stuff? Can I have some too? Ziyan frowned, placing the cup on his desk. Chinese medicine isn't something you can drink casually. Is this some kind of hangover remedy? Liu Ryan puckered her lips as part of her tactic. In the past, when watching TV dramas, those housewives who stayed at home every day loved concocting strange and odd remedies to brew medicine. I thought the writers were just making things up. But unexpectedly, he covered his mouth and started to laugh. However, neither Ziyan nor I laughed. On the contrary, because Ziyan's complexion was dark, the office atmosphere felt a bit tense. Ziyan's grandmother is a top traditional Chinese medicine practitioner in the country. Ziyan has a weak stomach. He wrote this prescription. Clearly, Liu Ryan didn't know. I sighed. From the beginning, I felt, this woman seems to be lacking something in her brain, with that not-so-smart demeanor. No matter how you look at it, she doesn't seem like the type Ziyan would like. But if it were someone else, Ziyan would probably have already exploded with anger. But his patience with Liu Ryan indeed surpasses that with others. He didn't respond further. He just gave Liu Ryan a complex look. Liu knows a lot about the catering industry. Liu Ryan, if you really want to do this, you can first talk to Luo. I was taken aback. Ziyan didn't want to refuse directly. I can understand the financing for Liu Ryan's lousy company. But what the hell is the catering industry? In the materials, Liu Ryan's company's main product. Isn't it a couples app? Seeing my puzzled expression and not saying anything, Liu Ryan didn't know what was missing in her brain and started to speak with a playful smile. Ziyan, don't you think? Lin Luji goes around every day inviting friends to eat meals here and there, drink tea, so she has an understanding of the catering industry, right? There's still a big difference. Besides, what I want to do is a cat cafe. The main consumers are white-collar workers and students. As he spoke, his glances towards me carried a hint of provocation. As for work-related matters, just let the two of us communicate. Shouldn't I still not interfere with Sister Lin Luji's shopping and afternoon tea? Surely, Liu Ryan, you're just pretending with me. Anyone who did some research wouldn't be this stupid. I am the neighbor's young lady, a PhD in economics from Stanford Business School, and all I do is shop around and drink tea. Does he know how much it costs for me to attend a class? I looked at him with a face full of arrogance. He even had a bit of mockery and disdain towards me. I was sure he didn't know. Even if he knew I graduated from Stanford, he would still stubbornly believe that my academic credentials were faked. But the late-night snack was obviously getting tense. I could see he was holding back. But I didn't understand why he was restraining himself. Was it because he couldn't bear to let go of his white moonlight? I have other things to do later. Liu Ryan, just do as I say. For the project's follow-up, communicate with Luo. As he spoke, he answered his continuously ringing phone. He quickly walked out, closing the office door, leaving only Liu Ryan and me in the room. Ziyan was not there. He didn't need to pretend anymore. He looked at me with a cold expression. You really know how to endure. To make him change his mind. She came to the company bringing soup and showing concern. You saw it too. We can be business partners who support each other, working side by side, striving together. And what about you, can you? A housemaid can also make soups like those at the Xixiang Society. And other things. What else can you do besides drinking tea, shopping, and spending money? You also talk to you about projects? I pointed to the table. And smiling, I added, Ziyan said. He sneered, his eyes full of disdain. You're not taking this seriously, are you? Ziyan is just being polite with you. Just giving you some face. So that you won't say later, we use this kind of paper to transfer your marital assets. Do you think he respects you? He's afraid you'll cause a scene and embarrass yourself at the company, causing trouble for me. I looked at him as if he were mentally impaired. Not to mention what Ziyan has actually done, giving him such great confidence, even if it's true. He's now casually discussing transferring assets with me. Is something missing in his brain? My silence made Liu Ryan even more pleased. He continued, saying how good Ziyan is to me. But that's not all. You heard it too. The dinner party tonight is so important to him. He even brought me along to attend. And he said that before me. He never brought any other women along. Do you know what that means? It means I am the most important and only woman in his heart. You have been married to him for so long, and he hasn't taken you out before. You are truly pitiful. He stared at me intently as he spoke. You must feel very wronged. If you feel wronged, then cry. It's okay. Actually, emotional failures, marital failures, are no big deal. You are not unattractive. Even if your family background isn't good, Ziyan will still give you a sum of money, so you won't worry about food or clothing. If it's time to let go, you must let go. Otherwise, things will become too ugly later on. Be careful, you might not even get your alimony. I finally couldn't hold it in anymore. With a puff sound, I laughed a bit too loudly, not only because of his convoluted thought processes, but also because he never understands such intangible things like love or not love. I simply don't care. What I care about are the tangible things that allow me to hold the initiative in my own hands, such as career, money, and power, and also marriage. For example, Ziyan and I have a child, and the life and death control of his projects is in my hands. I calmly told him not to daydream, whether it's that troublesome bog software or some cat cafe. We can't invest in any of them. But Liu Ryan is full of confidence. And you don't even bother to think. Since I can appear here, since Ziyan dares to bring it up to you in person, it means he values it highly. He will definitely agree. I watched him sway away gracefully as he left. He reached out and opened the office window. The room's strong scent of perfume was blown away by the wind, along with it, and my unwavering certainty in my heart. That night, I didn't sleep, but waited all night for Ziyan to come back. At 4 a.m., he stumbled into the house utterly drunk. Aunt Wang, the Zhu family's nanny, complained as she helped him while assisting him into the bedroom. The room was instantly filled with a strong smell of alcohol and the pungent scent of perfume from the office. D or Savage. I never used this kind of perfume. Luo, I'm going to make Ziyan a bowl of hangover soup. And Wang looked at me with a troubled expression. After putting Ziyan down, she withdrew. Honey, sit down, I have something to tell you. I pushed away Ziyan's hand, reaching out to embrace me. That Liu Ryan had approached me before. He said you two were a perfect match and wanted me to divorce you. Ziyan's arm stiffened noticeably. He mumbled ambiguously on the bed, mumbling and whining, repeating a few words, Luo, honey, I love you. Then snoring filled the room. My heart felt cold. I knew he was pretending. I also knew that a person pretending to sleep can never be woken up. But he can't keep sleeping forever. I planned to wait for Ziyan to wake up and talk to him properly, but I ended up sleeping until late morning. Instead, Ziyan had a last-minute business trip to Qingdao. What's worse? And Wang came running to tell me that my son, Zixuan, seemed to have a fever. I hurriedly called the driver to take Aunt Wang and me to the hospital. Luckily, it wasn't the peak flu season. Hospitals are generally not crowded. The hospitalization procedures were also very quick. I stayed until Zixuan fell asleep before handing her over to Aunt Wang. Walking out of the inner ward, we ate something in the small living room of the suite. Furo was already furious at this point. She angrily pounded the table in righteous indignation. Luo, let me tell you, Ziyan must have a problem with that woman. Call him right now. What's business? What's not business? 44. What time is it now? Tell him to get his ass back. I want to see if he thinks money is important, or if you and the child are more important. I shook my head. Compared to his restlessness, I was disheartened. And not in a hurry. He can't keep avoiding you like this the past 2 days. But Zixuan is already sick. When Zixuan is sick, there's a doctor. But he doesn't know how to seek medical help. You, Furo, are so angry you can't control yourself. You just treat Ziyan well, pampering him to the point of spoiling him. Is that so? I laughed. I'm not doing it for him. I'm doing it for the child and myself. I don't want us to tear each other's faces apart like this. There's no solid evidence. In the end, I'm unfairly labeled as a shrew. People like Liu Ryan and others with ulterior motives have made a fool out of themselves and have made themselves look passive and embarrassed. Can't rule out that he might have gone on a business trip, possibly taking that woman along. Furo shot me a disapproving glance as if to say, how could you? That may not necessarily be the case. I ate the last piece of cake, pointed out the window. Here comes Nuo Ren. What's with you, Furo, being so angry? She angrily pulled open the hospital room door. Seeing Liu Ryan walking towards us, she immediately unleashed a barrage of words, with both accusations and curses. I said, you must be a dog zodiac, right? Following the scent of steamed meat buns, you just came along. No wonder he said that. Liu Ryan has become particularly well-informed, even going to nearby tourist spots to play. Before my parents even arrived, he had already gotten there. Not even for late-night snacks. I specially came to check up. I even brought her a gift. Liu Ryan didn't mind placing her hand and put the gift box on the table. Then she looked at me. Did Sisterly Luo not sleep well last night? Why do you have dark circles under your eyes? When he laughed, did Ziyan tell you about my cat pose? He promised something. What? I didn't think much of it initially, but his words did surprise me. But on the surface, I still acted as usual. Is that so? He really didn't tell me. However, any decision he makes still requires my approval as a company shareholder. While saying this, I pushed the items on the table back. Take it back, my son doesn't need your things. Is that so? Liu Ryan pretended to be shocked. She looked at me with a beaming smile, but I saw that he actually liked her quite a bit. Last month, those blue and white shoes, those overalls, and the Lego that Ziyan took back a few days ago. You must know about them, right? They were all chosen by me with Ziyan. One sentence directly broke through my psychological defenses. Suddenly, my anger surged. If it were about the investment earlier, I could still remain calm. But now, I absolutely cannot tolerate it anymore. With all your so-called good upbringing, just get lost. My son, whom I carried and bore for 10 months with great effort. Why does he have the right to interfere? Why does he dare to lay a finger on it? I trembled with anger all over. I raised my hand and grabbed the box on the table. Then I hurled it towards Liu Ryan. She's so hateful. This woman is simply too deceitful. She fell to the ground along with the drone box. Blood streamed down from Liu Ryan's temples. Someone, please come. She's hitting people, killing people. When Ziyan rushed back, My parents had already arrived. Fearing that the noise would disturb the child, we went to the adjacent empty ward. The atmosphere was particularly oppressive. Liu Ryan's head was wrapped in gauze. Upon seeing Ziyan, tears began to stream down rapidly. Ziyan, I only heard that Zizhuan was sick. I came to check on her. Never did I expect that I brought a gift, and still managed to upset Sister Lin Luo. He timidly glanced at me, giving me a look, completely devoid of his earlier arrogance. Arrogant, I gave a cold snort. Before I could speak, I heard Ziyan say, "No matter what, Liu Ryan only has good intentions. How could you hit someone?" What? I was stunned. I almost thought I misheard. Is my husband trying to defend Liu Ryan? Knowing three and acting accordingly. Don't say I just threw a toy at him. Even if I slapped him twice and let him completely ruin his reputation, I would still be justified. And he still has the nerve to play the victim. My suppressed anger suddenly flared up again, especially when Liu Ryan said that although his conditions are average, he has always treated Zhuan as his own child. At that moment, I almost couldn't hold back anymore. Oh, so now you're in a hurry to become my son's stepmother. You didn't even get to finish your sentence. My mother grabbed my hand. The warmth of her palm brought the out-of-control me back to reality instantly. I took a deep breath, controlled my emotions. A small lack of patience can ruin big plans. I know I was impulsive, but I also really felt wrong, especially since Ziyan has always stood by me. Today, he actually brazenly said help the manager, not the relative. Forget it, better not say another word. Luoluo is also anxious because the child is sick. As is well known, our Lin family is a leading enterprise in the country. My parents are such proud and arrogant people. They have already tolerated it without pursuing it further. But I never expected. Liu Ryan not only didn't back down when things went well, but she also shamelessly kept pushing her luck. As Auntie said, handling me would only ruin my looks. Sister Lin Luo is in a bad mood, but it's such a huge matter. As she spoke, she let out a giggle. Ziyan slightly furrowed his brows. The expression on his face became even more somber than before. A flicker of hesitation flashed in his eyes, but he quickly sighed again. Luoluo, it's your fault after all. Just apologize to Liu Ryan. Oh, Ziyan, never mind. Don't trouble Sister Lin Luo anymore. I also believe he didn't do it on purpose. And I'm not angry anymore. While verbally refusing, the smile on his face completely betrayed him. Especially when Ziyan said he wanted to take him back to the company first to discuss the project's progress. He was like an unleashed peacock, eager to show off his prowess. Ziyan loves me the most, flaunting it proudly on his face. But we both know well, he's hopelessly stupid. I fell into silence, not because of him, but because of Ziyan. When my parents told me the cause and effect, after so many years, I thought I already knew Ziyan well enough. But he collapsed in my heart with a loud crash. That night, my mother also forwarded photos and videos sent by Liu Ryan's subordinates and the recordings to me. He thought his team was highly cohesive, an unbreakable team. But in reality, my parents had already bribed them with a little money. In the video, Liu Ryan was ostentatious and proud. Financing was too easy. After the process was completed, I became Mrs. Z. At that time, I will double each of your salaries. I laughed, thinking he thought financing was easy. But he never considered those dense terms. They buried many traps that he couldn't even understand. If the performance targets aren't met, the penalties are higher than usurious loan rates, which will become the last straw to break him. But he deserves it. Not only because he was foolishly smart, believing that Ziyan deeply loved him, but also because he was greedy, thinking that a little trickery would get him ahead, destroying other people's families. He has no right to compete with me. But Ziyan is also unworthy for me to fight him tooth and nail. That night, I took Zijuan and moved to a children's hospital near my parents' home and arranged for Zijuan to recover. Then we planned to return to the US for a while. My phone kept ringing nonstop. I didn't even want to answer. Furo urged me to divorce Ziyan, and Ziyan was guarding outside the hospital every day. My phone's blacklist was filled with his explanatory messages and missed calls. He said, "Luo, do you believe me? I absolutely did not betray you and the child. Luo, come out. I can explain everything to you. Luo, I want Zijuan. Let me see your son. We have known each other for so many years. Don't you understand me? Luo, you're not in good health. Don't let these matters affect your emotions, okay?" I laughed. Of course I understand. I know him so well. Absolutely rational. And also absolutely ruthless and cruel. In his world, nothing is more important than power and benefit, especially the romantic feelings between men and women being affectionate with each other. This is also why I'm certain he won't divorce me. But this doesn't give me a reason to forgive him. I can accept a business marriage that isn't entirely based on love. But I can't accept that he is just a cold, money-making machine, ruthless, unlike a person with any warmth. Precisely because of this, after I quietly listened to my parents' account and promised them I wouldn't act impulsively, I became even more determined. What I need to do is to handle everything properly and leave Ziyan, even if what he did is what he thought was good for me. So a month later, I took Zijuan and flew straight to the United States. He didn't come looking for us. Instead, in the following days, I saw from trending gossip on social media that the escalating gossip about Ziyan and Liu Ryan was becoming more intense. The rumors became more interesting day by day, like Ziyan and Liu Ryan hugging on the streets, and Ziyan bringing Liu Ryan to attend the opening ceremony of a new store. Ziyan going to Liu Ryan's cat cafe to support him, publicly showering sweet gestures like lovers. Liu Ryan meeting young men at a late-night bar behind her back. Everyone says they don't take me seriously. Everyone says I'm a hopeless, sticky mud delicate wife. Even like this, still acting like a turtle hiding in its shell. Time flies. The swift passage of time. In the blink of an eye, a year passed. I returned quietly without a sound, to the extent that, when Liu Ryan pushed open the general manager's office door and found me sitting inside, she was stunned in place. He was still holding 2 cups of overly sweet milk tea in his hands. His voice was full of disbelief. "Lin Luo, why are you here? Are you surprised?" I smiled. "This is my company. Isn't it very normal that I'm here? How come you finally figured it out? You're willing to come back to process the divorce papers?" Another divorce, hoping I divorce to climb up, seems to have become his obsession. I looked at him, eager, with a somewhat smug look on his face. "Couldn't help but remind you that you've made a mistake. The one who never wanted the divorce was never me from the start. It was Ziyan, absolutely impossible." Before I could finish my sentence, Liu Ryan directly interrupted me. "But now, I don't mind." I pointed to the documents on the table. "You still remember this performance agreement, right?" Why did Liu Ryan's face suddenly change? "What does that have to do with you? I am the major shareholder of the company. You didn't fulfill the performance targets. You say what it has to do with me. You are the major shareholder." Liu Ryan laughed. "If you are the major shareholder, how could Ziyan have made decisions directly back then? Me, you, if you are the major shareholder, then what is Ziyan? Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? If you want to intimidate me, then look at this." I took out another document from it and placed it on the table. I watched Liu Ryan frantically holding the document in her hand. The more I looked down, the paler her face became. It clearly detailed the ownership of shares. Ziyan was just holding the shares on paper. In fact, this company is my dowry. 70% of the shares are in my hands. Documents slid one by one from his hands to the ground. This is impossible. Liu Ryan looked at me incredulously. This time, it was my turn to look at him with a face of pity and contempt. This is the truth. And the game has only just begun. This is impossible. His lips trembled. The Z family is clearly a big and prosperous family. But if he hadn't married me, Ziyan wouldn't have stood out among his brothers, becoming the heir of the Z family. Old Master Z. In the early years, when Hong Kong laws still allowed, he married 2 wives. The first wife bore 2 sons and a daughter, 2 grandsons and 2 granddaughters. And the second wife had only 1 son, who died early due to a car accident, leaving only 1 grandson. That is Ziyan. Logically, although the Lin family and the Z family are longtime allies, but because of Ziyan's status, my marriage would never have anything to do with him. But unfortunately, the boys of our generation are mostly spoiled by their families and not very capable, with significant flaws and temperaments. Perhaps because of his status and situation, Ziyan is intelligent and studious, wise beyond his years. Everything about him exudes caution. So my parents took a liking to him early on, to make everything look natural, and also to pave the way for our future. My parents orchestrated a play themselves. The mistress shows up and provokes. The drama of the legitimate wife leaving out of resentment, all to get us into a university together, to study and live together, and to achieve marriage early. Also because I am the only heir of the Lin family. So no one took us seriously. Ziyan, a marginal character in the KH series, successfully due to the arranged marriage and relying on the support of the Lin family, not only expanded his business more and more, but also became a popular candidate for inheritance. Now, old Master Zhao's health is still very robust. How could he possibly destroy his Great Wall and divorce me? Liu Ryan obviously didn't expect that, shaking her head repeatedly. Impossible if that's the case. How could Ziyan endure until now? This is impossible. I'm different from you. You are simply unworthy. I take it to heart. I paused. Then Ziyan will come to you later. You just wait patiently. Saying this, I stood up and opened the door. I saw Ziyan just standing outside the door, seeing me come out. She looked stunned, then didn't say anything. I just slipped away. I don't want to listen to his pretentious explanations and useless confessions. I just want to see how ruthless this man is, how unscrupulous he is to achieve his goals. As expected, very quickly, Ziyan took the agreement and pushed Liu Ryan into a corner. While saying he had no choice, he set a deadline, forcing Liu Ryan to replace that, a number he could never change in his lifetime. In the company, Liu Ryan was crying and making a fuss again, desperate to die or seek life, just begging Ziyan not to cut her way out like this. He even came to find me. He said he has something in his hands that I am absolutely interested in. I don't care about romantic love. But do I also not care about friendship? I just don't find it curious about the people around me. What kind of person my good best friend really is. I laughed and had him dismissed. He no longer deserves to negotiate terms with me. Even if he deserves it, I'm also not interested in the things he talks about. Because some things are urgent or important, I have to handle them one by one. Ziyan notified Liu Ryan. In this repayment month, he tried every possible method, but each one was to no avail. Finally, when he was completely despondent, he climbed to the company's rooftop and threatened Ziyan that he would really jump down. Ziyan finally had the opportunity to set forth the conditions he had been planning for a long time. A friend I know has poor kidneys. needs a kidney transplant. Would you be willing to donate? At the edge of the rooftop terrace, Liu Ryan incredulously took a step back, almost lost her footing and fell down. Yan, don't mess around. This is a serious matter, and even if I wanted to donate, the other party might not accept. The compatibility might not be suitable. Don't joke with me. Do you think I'm joking? Yan's complexion darkened. You don't need to worry about other things. He needs it a lot. Liu Ryan collapsed. When the firefighters brought him down from the rooftop, he was crying miserably. I watched the video on my computer. In the video, he was like a puddle of mud, lying limp on the ground, frenziedly tugging on Yan's pants. He repeatedly begged Yan to let him go. He repeatedly repeated those beautiful memories from their youth. He even frantically questioned Yan. Aren't you in love with me? Yan, didn't you promise me you would always treat me well? He thought that his own pitiful state, like pear blossoms with rain, would soften Yan's heart, but unexpectedly, his stormy demeanor only made Yan more annoyed. He doesn't understand the complex interests between Yan and me. He also doesn't understand people in high positions. How can he have the mind to be immersed in romantic love every day? So he doesn't know. Every sentence he said that day not only became the media's magnified focus, but also became the last straw to break him. The president of the Z Group's infidelity instantly blew up trending searches and became a topic people eagerly discussed. Although Yan took various public relations measures to handle it promptly, but still couldn't avoid the Z Group's stock plummeting, a disastrous downturn. I heard that because of this, old Master Z got very angry. Yan's mother, my mother-in-law, personally came to our home, begging me to persuade him. I didn't refuse. I just wanted to make Yan know again profoundly. Let everyone know. Without me, without Lin Jier, Yan is nothing. In the end, the matter concluded with Yan and me appearing together, and generously showing our affection proved that the couple's feelings had not changed. Of course, for the sake of the people, also couldn't be missing the hospital's issuance of a certificate stating that Liu Ryan has mental issues. That was the first time I met Liu Ryan's parents. They weren't from a wealthy or prestigious family, but genuine farmers. They sat awkwardly on chairs in the hospital corridor, watching us diligently and sincerely. A couple who have been honest and decent their whole lives, thinking their daughter was a phoenix soaring to great heights through her own merit. But unexpectedly, all she did was disgraceful and embarrassing things, engaging in shady dealings. Liu Ryan's father saw Yan and me come, and with a thud, he knelt down on the ground. Head after head, he pleaded, "Our family is poor. We'll sell everything we have in the future to repay you. Please give us some time to buy a house for them. Let Liu Ryan have a way out." But Yan shook his head. His words were always so cold and indifferent. Money doesn't have to be repaid as long as Liu Ryan donates a kidney. What's more terrifying than death is living a life worse than death. Liu Ryan's parents were stunned. Then the two of them hurriedly began to express to Yan, "You can take theirs. It's okay to take everything." But Yan pointed to the ward and reiterated, "I only need Liu Ryan's." After saying that, he impatiently turned around. "When you have made up your minds, let me know." But I didn't have much patience. I didn't leave with Yan, but instead entered Liu Ryan's hospital room. Why was Liu Ryan looking at me like this? Because she needs your kidney to survive. Am I laughing at Yan? He was incredulous. Impossible, I have seen his medical reports. He is not sick. Then he glared at me as if he had thought of something. Yan has always said that you are not in good health. Could it be you, LOL? But my health is incredibly good. I dare not brag about anything else, only about physical fitness. Enduring until I can first send him and Yan away, definitely no problem. Rather than worrying about these things, you'd better think carefully. How to negotiate a good price with Ziyan as much as possible. No, Ziyan wouldn't treat me like this. He must have his own reasons. His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at me. It must be you. Did you do something? I looked at Liu Ryan with pity, just like she did. She is truly hateful and pitiable. I immediately lost the interest to continue talking with him. Since a person who pretends to sleep cannot be woken up, let him keep sleeping forever. I opened the door and walked out. I never went to the hospital again. I had more important things to do. During this period, I even took a trip to the United States. Next month, the Z family's sluggish state in the stock market did not improve. At the same time, the Lin family's stocks, however, soared all the way up. At this critical time, a major news story broke and trended. It garnered widespread attention. The Lin family announced the termination of a 20-year cooperation with Fuji K and will not renew the contract. Everything came too suddenly. Fuji had always provided raw materials to the Lin family. As the main supplier for the Lin family, Fuji was dumbfounded. After all, every year, the two families would renew the contract as scheduled. This time, they also believed there would be no exception, so they normally stocked up on a lot of goods. Now, the Lin family doesn't need them anymore. Fellow industry players are hard to find, and another company could not consume so much stock. Besides the communication at the company level, Furo also immediately called me. What does fall back to the Lin family mean? Are you at home? I'll come to your house now. I sat on the sofa in the living room at home, playing with the documents on the coffee table with my head down. My tone was nonchalant. Don't you know what I mean? The receiver fell silent that day. After a while, I heard him defend himself. Luoluo, do you have some misunderstanding? His tone was a bit helpless, like struggling to die. I laughed indeed. He was struggling to die. If you still think it's a misunderstanding, we have nothing to talk about. After I finished speaking, I hung up the phone. And then, I instructed my secretary to send a document to Furo. There was a video inside. It was a conversation between Furo and his assistant at night. He instructed his assistant to approach Liu Ryan. Incite Liu Ryan. Step-by-step arranged his one-by-one encounters with Ziyan until Ziyan became interested in him. And another one. It was the contestant information from the new concept competition that year. Furo, Ziyan, Liu Ryan. They made it to the finals together. He had known for a long time the real reason why Ziyan approached Liu Ryan that year. Liu Ryan and Ziyan's mother both have panda blood. But Ziyan's mother has a very serious kidney disease. From the very beginning, it was never a Cinderella and Prince Charming story. His affection was calculated and deliberate, just for a kidney that matches his own mother's. And when did Furo start liking Ziyan? Could it be you, LOL? I only know that since he arranged for Liu Ryan to come back and provoke me, attempting to make us fight to mutual destruction, he had already trampled over our friendship that grew up together. He stepped all over our childhood friendship. Smart and cautious as Ziyan is, I don't believe in these things. He knows nothing at all. Perhaps he even appreciates Furo for bringing Liu Ryan to him. After all, to him, I'm just an arranged marriage partner to consolidate company interests. That's all. Only that. Now it's good. Fushai has gone bankrupt, and the Z family is also teetering on the brink. I also want to divorce Ziyan and let him leave empty-handed. Otherwise, how can they be considered soulmates, sharing joys and sorrows together? The day Ziyan and I completed the divorce procedures, it was raining heavily, with lightning and thunder. Ziyan stood at the Civil Affairs Bureau's doorway. He said, "You, Luoluo, are so desperate. Aren't you afraid of getting punished?" I didn't respond. Ziyan's phone rang. He didn't have time to hear what I was saying, and hurriedly ran into the rain. Later, I heard that Liu Ryan donated her kidney, but after the surgery, Ziyan's mother had a severe rejection reaction and died. As a result, the Z family's business conditions deteriorated further, and he couldn't protect himself. Desperate Ziyan naturally wouldn't continue to pay Liu Ryan the subsequent nutritional fees. Panicked and overwhelmed, Ziyan naturally would not continue to pay Liu Ryan the subsequent nutritional expenses. He tried to save someone who was already dead. Naturally, his own life and death had nothing to do with him anymore. No matter how hard he tries, could it be you? LOL. I have never given him a single opportunity in the business world. I have not remarried. Instead, I focused on managing the family business, focused on raising my son. I haven't seen Faro again, nor have I seen Ziyan again. But I happened to see him once. Liu Ryan working as a waitress in a restaurant in the cold winter, wearing a thin dress, greeting guests at the door. When he saw me, he instinctively tried to dodge, but he couldn't, so he awkwardly stood still, bowing and greeting me. His complexion was poor, like someone suffering from a terminal illness, an incurable patient. An incurable patient. I had nothing to say to him, wanted to ignore him and walk by. But unexpectedly, as I passed by him, he reached out and gently tugged at my clothes. I paused, hearing him hoarsely say, "I'm sorry." I didn't respond, and shook his hand off. In this world, not every apology can be forgiven. He finally realized his mistake, but it was too late. The entire story is complete. Creating it was not easy. I heard that those who like will get rich. Those who share will become wealthy. Type "heaven sends auspiciousness" in the comments section, and you will pass every exam. Lose 20 pounds quickly. My lips have been blessed by light. If you don't believe it, give it a try. If the readers have topics you want to hear, you can also leave a message in the comments section. Maybe the next completed story will be the type you want to read. See you in the next completed story.